maybe
Okay.
it would be an iterative
Yeah,
process,
just
you know, to
Okay.
right, okay. So how do I start?
Name and date of last meeting.
Right, okay. Fran Harrison, the date of the last meeting of the Children and Young People's Trust was the 24th of November. Before we started, just some of the items from the last meeting. One of the important ones for the voluntary sector was the Independent Safeguarding Authority. We'd expressed some concern about what was going to happen with that in terms of the recruitment of volunteers. We were worried that it might make our work more difficult by not allowing us the flexibility to look at people's CRB records to think whether we should take them on or not, and that decision might be made. There is going to be some training on the ISA, and that's going to be arranged on the 9th of February 2010, and that's going to be open to the voluntary sector, and more details are going to come out from the council about that meeting. So I recommend anybody that has volunteers and will be using that new system to look out for the training. So back to the meeting proper. The update from the strategic director. First of all, the Children and Young People's Plan. There's going to be a tidying of the existing plan, so we need to be thinking about, is there anything new, is there anything that needs to drop out. So they're coming back with a proposal for the refresh of that plan at the February meeting of the Trust Board. Second point, the JIP is going to come to an end. Now this is the joint intervention process or programme that was put into place because the government felt that Bristol was underachieving and needed to be put into some special measures. So this had resulted in the work stream groups being created and reporting to government office with the minister. But because Bristol has been achieving much better attainment lately, this is now coming to an end, and the officials are meeting the minister with some key areas to be assured, and those are key stage 3 and 4 attainment improvement will carry on, and how we're going to continue to drive that improvement, and how we're going to ensure that the trust itself develops oversight of the whole arrangement so that it will be an effective monitor in the replacing the work of the government directly. Now, as part of the process of improving what the Children and Young People Service is doing, the officers have had a visit from Kensington and Chelsea Children and Young People Service, which is seen as a very good one. And as a result of that, there will be a focus on a more child-centric view in the plan, and that is really looking at how work is constructed, taking a child's view, but also taking into account their life in relation to their families. Further point, the schools forum needs to have links with the Children's Trust. There is a draft white paper on education which brings in Children's Trust as an important component in relation to education. And there are going to be a lot of changes afoot in terms of funding. There's a potential 3% funding cut from government for education, and there's some concern expressed around the table that this might be hitting urban areas harder in terms of putting the money out to rural areas, especially in the context of a government change. So there is going to be some work done through the Core Cities group to challenge that and to lobby for the continuation of support for cities. The Cabinet has been concerned with the creation of so many academies in Bristol, that we still have a family of schools that are all serving Bristol, and there is going to be a white paper with the expectations of academies to mix with other schools. We had some reports at the board from the workstream groups, and the Raising Attainment workstream, that is going to have a second voluntary sector rep. Asthma is going to take on that role until another one is recruited. And the work of that work stream is going to be refocused away from the JIP requirements to more of the trust requirements. And the challenges ahead are maths, floor targets, persistent absence and permanent exclusions, narrowing the gap in attainment in early years, and embedding improvements, and also narrowing attainment gaps for particular groups, those that are in care, BME groups, and English as a second language in particular there. So there's going to be some focused work looking at their attainment. The report from the 14 to 19 workstream group covered the participation in learning of young people, and it is really high at the moment in Bristol. In fact, I believe that we're the highest of the comparative cities. 81.8% of the young people are in learning. The recession has affected the number of jobs without training, which is in a sense a good thing, because young people could be just locked into those situations without any sort of progression. There have been over 1,000 apprenticeship completions, which is good news as well, and something which we're all rather cautious about, but there does seem to have been a turning point in the number of NEETs going up. So in September the number had gone down as against last year, which means that those young people who aren't in any education, employment or training, which is NEET, the prospects are looking slightly better, and I think there's some cautious feeling that there might be a turnaround there. Next September, Bristol will be marketing diplomas for the 14 to 19 age group. But of course, with the change in government before then, there's some uncertainty about whether diplomas will continue, and there was some discussion about the expense of them and whether that might be foremost for a cut.